Good morning, everyone, and happy Friday. Welcome back to another Environmental Learning Centers of Connecticut Facebook Live program. We're here at the Indian Rock Nature Preserve, where our reptiles and amphibians from the Barnes Nature Center are temporarily housed. And our topic today is the White's tree frog. So the White's tree frog. The White's tree frog is not a frog from Connecticut. Do you want to guess how many frog species we have? Because where this frog is from, they have many more than us. So in Connecticut, we only have 11 species of frogs. Where this species is from, they have 208. And a lot of them are what we call endemic. So a lot of species, a lot of those 208 species are only found in this place. This place is also known for having other dangerous and wacky animals. We would have to get on a boat or a plane to go there. It's Australia. So the White's tree frogs are native to Australia and New Guinea. They're really adapted. As a frog, they like to remain moist, but in the drier seasons, they can secrete kind of a milky substance to keep their skin nice and protected. But how do we know this is a White's tree frog? Because if you look at it, it's not very white in color. They range from, they can be like an emerald green down to a bluish color. But they do have white bellies. Females will have a white throat, while males will kind of have a gray, wrinkly throat, and that's where they can extend their throats for calling. That would be their vocal sac. And depending how they're feeling, whether they're feeling excited or sluggish if they're sleeping, or if they might need to camouflage themselves a little bit better because of a predator, they can change their color slightly. That's a good example of how well these guys can jump and stick. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But they can change their color slightly, just to be lighter or darker in color. And those are due to pigment cells called chromatophores. So depending if a lot of pigments are released in the chromatophores, they're going to be darker. If all the pigments are kind of clumped together, not spread out, they're going to be lighter in color. And frogs can do this. Shrimp can do it. Another good example is the cuttlefish. A lot of animals have chromatophores, the chameleon. So that allows them to kind of lighten or darken their skin color. We have a question from Allison. She noticed that there was a little bump on this frog's hip. It's just kind of an individual growth on this little frog. Another really unique thing about the White's tree frog is that they have horizontal pupils. Most other tree frogs have vertical pupils. And they are primarily nocturnal, but they can be active during the day. Now let's see if we can get a look on the glass, the opposite side of the glass of this tree frog using their toe pads. There's a good look at our White's tree frog. You can see the horizontal pupils. But this White's tree frog, so their front toes, we'll call them fingers, don't have a lot of webbing, but they have big toe pads. And they're long. So they're really sticky, which enables this frog to stick to the glass. The back feet, we still see those big toe pads, but they're going to be a little bit more webbed. So the back feet are a little bit more webbed than the skinny fingers on the front feet. We can see that the tree frog is breathing a little faster. Since he is a smaller animals do tend to breathe faster, but he's also a little stressed as, well, I've been talking over him and there's a big camera in his face. So he's pretty much like, what is that thing? He's not so sure that the camera is not going to eat him. But the white tree frogs, they're rather large in size. So they can be 3 to about 4.5 inches. Females are going to be slightly larger in this case than the males. And these tree frogs, they prefer moist, forested environments. But like I said before, they're very adaptable. So their skin, when they are in drier climates, say agricultural fields or in your house if they find their way into your bathroom. In Australia, remember, they're not in Connecticut. They secrete that kind of a milky substance that allows them to survive in drier climates. But they are very arboreal, so they're great climbers. So those good sticky toe pads are going to let them climb. Allows this guy to stick to the glass really easily. They don't typically live near large bodies of water, but that's where they love their dense, really moist forest, because water is going to collect on the leaves, in cup-shaped plants, in crevices in the tree trunks, so that allows these frogs to have access to that water. And most of the time they're active during the rainy season, so there's going to be plenty of that water. The summer rainy season is going to be their mating season. So they will come down from their trees. The females are going to lay eggs in fresh water. They're going to lay clumps of about up to 300 eggs. And those eggs, they're going to start to hatch. Tadpoles will emerge within 2 to 3 days. And it's going to take about a good 2 to 3 weeks in good conditions for those tadpoles to completely go through metamorphosis. So metamorphosis, the amphibian life cycle. The tadpoles, when they come out, they're just going to be eating plant matter, maybe other tadpoles. They're going to have that tail for swimming. As they go through metamorphosis, they're going to absorb that tail and grow their 4 feet. And once they emerge from the water, they'll take to the trees. Out in the wild, they're going to prefer a diet of mainly insects, moths, roaches. At the Barnes Nature Center, we're going to be feeding this guy. They have that sticky tongue that they'll shoot out and grab their prey with and bring it fully back into their mouth. But frogs aren't so picky, so anything they encounter that can fit into their mouth, they're going to try and eat. We have a question from Marissa. They love insects, so they're going to eat moths, roaches, flies, dragonflies, but they might also eat spiders. Spiders are a little different than insects. We would classify them as arachnids. Now this white tree frog, even though he is a predator, so he's dining on insects and arachnids and worms and slugs and snails, he has to watch out for predators himself. Okay, so these are going to be bigger frogs. So frogs will eat each other. Bigger frogs will eat smaller frogs. Snakes, foxes, birds of prey. But his nice green color, remember these animals are living up in the trees, so that nice green color gives them a leg up with camouflage. So camouflage, he's able to blend into his environment a little bit better. If we look at his tank here, just a little bit of the care that we have. Okay, so his tank is very, very moist. He's got lots of foliage in there to hide. Fresh water. And a heat source. He does have a roommate. It's an adult gray tree frog. That is a species that is native to Connecticut. That's the young gray tree frogs with the spring peepers. This guy there, that's an adult gray tree frog. So we separate them so the adult does not eat the babies. So there's a look at the tank that we house our White's tree frog in. They have that free-range diet, so we'll just drop some crickets in and then they can eat. But he's slowly moving down the glass back into his hiding spot in the plants that we have. Because remember, these guys are a little bit nocturnal, and I had to wake him up to join us this morning, and he just wants to go back to sleep. Amphibians, so since this frog is an amphibian, they've got to have that moist skin. So typically we don't handle these animals unless we have wet hands ourselves, or if we have wet gloves on. Their skin is very sensitive. Amphibians breathe through their skin. Some amphibians breathe through their skin and they have lungs. Some amphibians do not have lungs and they only breathe through their skin. So their skin is very important to them. So when we touch them with dirty hands or hands that even have bug spray or sunscreen on, it's very damaging to their skin. So like I mentioned earlier, the White's tree frog is not a species found in Connecticut, but that adult gray tree frog is. You can check out the video we posted yesterday to learn all about the gray tree frog. But the gray tree frog found in Connecticut, we do have them at the Barnes Nature Center. So since it's a nice, lovely Friday, the Barnes Nature Center trails are open. So they're open 7 days a week, sunrise to sunset. And if you head out there on the trails, the gray tree frog is a species that you can find. But you should not be finding any White's tree frogs, as they are not from Connecticut. That gray tree frog is awesome at camouflaging. Awesome. So that's a little bit about one more frog species that we have hosted and living at the Barnes Nature Center. So everybody right now has been moved over to the Indian Rock Nature Preserve, but hopefully we'll have them moved back over to Barnes soon. We'll have the Nature Center back open soon, but for now you can enjoy the trails. But thanks for tuning in and learning a little bit about our White's tree frog today. We're going to be posting a schedule later of next week, since it is Friday today. We're going to be posting a schedule later on our Facebook page, the Environmental Learning Centers of Connecticut, of our schedule of next week's topics. So you'll know the whole week's schedule in advance. So thanks for tuning in today. And we hope that you continue to tune in with us next week. Thanks for watching and have a great weekend.